Everyone says living in a small town in Texas is cheaper. Well, but how much cheaper? And more importantly, how far do your dollars actually stretch specifically to Taylor, Texas and our immediate surrounding areas? So I see budget conscious relocators that are making this mistake all the time, and it's costing them quite a bit of money. They hear affordable small towns near Austin and assume that the math automatically works. But if you don't understand the real monthly cost of living here in Taylor, you can end up stretching your budget way more than expected. So let's break down the real cost of living in Taylor, Texas in 2026. Take it from a local. So I talk to people every week who are tired of watching their money disappear in a big urban area. They have higher home prices, there's rising rent, you have a ton of traffic, and just feeling like a decent income doesn't go near as far anymore or get you near as much square footage especially. That's why Taylor, Texas keeps popping up on their radar. On paper, it sounds like the perfect reset. And to be honest, one of my favorites. They hear there's a lower housing cost, a small town pace, there's enough distance from Austin to be able to breathe while still staying well connected. But the lower purchase price is only part of the story. There's more to it than this. You still need to factor in the cost of taxes, utilities, transportation, the hidden costs that can often catch buyers off guard. And this is really important. So we're going to go over a couple of key facts. So Taylor, Texas in specific, gives buyers a low cost option within reach to our Austin metro area. So let's start with the biggest number in the budget. And let's dig in there. So first of all, it's housing. Housing is the biggest variable within your budget. If you're buying in Taylor or surrounding areas in 2026, the average price is about $349,000, give or take a few dollars. With 20% down and property tax rates about 2.38%, you're looking at an estimated all-in monthly cost of about $2,350. When if you think about it, there's a lot of folks renting for about $2,350 a month. So you can anticipate that to be your monthly house payment or around there if you're looking at an average price point. Now compare that to Austin, when a similar home may cost $485,000 with a monthly payment closer to $3,300. That's a big difference. And it's one of the biggest reasons Taylor stands out as a budget conscious area, especially for relocators. If you're renting instead, the average 3-bedroom rental is around $1,875, which is roughly 30% cheaper than in Austin. In Austin, the rent for a 3-bedroom is going to be $2,300 or more, depending on the quality of the home. So whether you're buying now or renting first, Taylor offers a more approachable price point than many nearby markets. And this is what I love about my area, especially folks who are trying to get out of town, but not super far out of town. Now, let's talk about the day-to-day monthly costs, right? So we discussed homes. That's the biggest chunk of your budget. Now let's look at what kind of goes into that cost of living besides just your home, because this is where your budget either works or it doesn't. A realistic utility estimate looks like about $180 a month for electric. Water's about $45 a month. Trash and water are typically combined, so you're looking at about $70 for the both of them. Internet's usually between $35 and $65. That puts your utility bill around $320 to $350 per month. Groceries are also a little friendlier here, which I love as well. Not to mention we have a great farmers market on Saturdays. With a cost index of 94, if you're like, that sounds like German to me, that's okay. Everyday essentials come slightly below the average when we look at the cost index compared to the rest of the United States. It's not a huge discount, but for budget-focused households, every category matters. Let's take a look now at transportation. Transportation is where some buyers accidentally give back the savings that they thought they were getting whenever they purchase here. So gas runs about $3.09 right now per gallon. An average car monthly insurance is about $142 a month in our area. If you're commuting into Austin regularly, the lower housing costs can start getting eaten up by the gas and the wear and tear on your vehicle. So financially, Taylor tends to work best for people who don't need to be in Austin every single day. So this is something for you to consider. Are you going to have to commute? Are you going to be able to stay in town and maybe work in the area or remotely? Something to think about. Now let's talk about one of the biggest budget details in Texas. It's property taxes, okay? So besides the purchase of your home, property taxes can make or break where you can afford to live from one town to the next. I've seen this happen with some of my own clients. If you're buying qualifying land with an ag exemption, then that can drop to closer to 0.35%. For the owner of a 5-acre tract, that could mean savings of about $2,800 per year. That's real money back in your budget. But there's another side to this. If you're buying a new construction, water and sewer impact fees can sometimes add $2,000 to $4,000 to your closing costs. It's one of those hidden expenses that a lot of buyers forget to budget for, and it can throw you off whenever you're trying to calculate numbers and whether it fits for you, especially if you're already kind of stretching some things in other areas. So let's take a look at the fun stuff. We talked about the cost of living, taxes, as well as housing. So in Taylor, dinner for two at Louis Mueller's is about $45 at minimum, possibly a little bit more. If you get a beef rib, oh my gosh, triple that. But if you get a Taylor swim pass for the summer season, that's about $35. So if you want to go and find somewhere to eat that's got enchiladas, we call it the Green Place, also known as El Corral. You can walk out of there for two people eating dinner for about $25. Pretty affordable. So that's one of the appeals here, is that your budget doesn't just go towards housing. It's also a little more room for you to enjoy the real fun stuff in life. So now let's talk about who Taylor is for and who it isn't for. So the people who thrive here are budget conscious relocators who want lower monthly housing costs that are near the Austin area. Also, families who value space and a little bit of a slower financial pace. Buyers who plan carefully and want more control over their monthly budget also do very well here. Now let's look at the flip side. Look at those who struggle. People who assume that a cheaper home price means every cost will be low. That's not always the case. Daily commuters who have to commute all the way into Austin, or maybe it's on the outskirts of Austin, you may be losing some of what you're saving due to transportation costs. Buyers who skip due diligence on taxes and closing fees, you might end up losing some of that savings because you didn't prepare for that. Taylor's not a magic shortcut, but if you're looking to find a place where your money can stretch farther than in downtown Austin, it is definitely a great move. Now, Taylor, Texas affordability isn't about hype, it's about math. And when you break the numbers down the right way, you can see whether this move actually fits into your budget and lifestyle. If you want a more personal estimate, text COST, C-O-S-T, for a monthly breakdown based on your income, and let me help you find the best spot that fits in your relocation or small town goals.